Charles Bronson was born Charles Dennis Bukinski on November 3, 1921, in Ehrenfeld, Pennsylvania, into a large Lithuanian immigrant family struggling with deep poverty. One of 15 children, Bronson learned early that survival depended on endurance rather than comfort. When his father died, he went to work in the coal mines at just 10 years old, enduring darkness, danger, and physical exhaustion that shaped his lifelong toughness. These experiences hardened him emotionally, but also instilled discipline and self-reliance. During World War II, Bronson served as a tail gunner in the U.S. Army Air Forces, flying combat missions in the Pacific and earning a Purple Heart. After the war, he used the GI Bill to study art before turning to acting. Unlike many Hollywood hopefuls, Bronson arrived with no illusions, only resolve, forged by hardship rather than ambition, building a career the hard way. Bronson's Hollywood journey was slow and humbling. He began in the 1950s with uncredited roles, often cast as background toughs or nameless soldiers. Aware that his Eastern European surname could limit opportunities during the Red Scare era, he adopted the name Charles Bronson, signaling both reinvention and survival instinct. His breakthrough came with ensemble classics like The Magnificent Seven and The Great Escape, where he portrayed men of few words but unmistakable gravity. These roles revealed his defining strength, emotional restraint paired with quiet humanity. Audiences sensed authenticity rather than performance. Unlike flashier contemporaries, Bronson did not dominate scenes with dialogue but with presence. By the late 1960s, he had carved a niche as a reliable, grounded actor whose characters felt lived in. His rise was not sudden fame, but steady recognition earned through patience and consistency. The vigilante era and international stardom. The 1970s marked a dramatic shift in Bronson's career and public identity. Films like Rider on the Rain established him as a major star in Europe, where his minimalist style was celebrated rather than questioned. French critics affectionately called him Le Sacré Monstre, recognizing his commanding simplicity. That reputation exploded globally with Death Wish in 1974. As Paul Kersey, Bronson embodied public frustration over crime and justice with chilling restraint. The film's success turned him into the era's defining vigilante figure and spawned multiple sequels. While critics debated its message, audiences connected with Bronson's controlled intensity. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, films like The Mechanic and Hard Times reinforced his image as the silent anti-hero. He became less an actor chasing roles and more a symbol audiences trusted: love, loyalty, and family grounding. Behind the granite screen persona was a deeply loyal family man. Bronson's first marriage to Harriet Tendler defined his early struggle years. She supported him financially while believing in his future, a sacrifice he never dismissed. After their divorce, he found lasting partnership with actress Jill Ireland, whom he married in 1968. Together, they formed a blended family of 7 children and lived with unusual closeness for Hollywood stars. They often brought their children to film locations, prioritizing family unity over convenience. Their Vermont farm and Colorado winters offered refuge from industry pressures. Jill's battle with cancer in the late 1980s deeply affected Bronson, revealing emotional depth he rarely showed publicly. Her death in 1990 marked a profound turning point, softening the famously stoic actor and reshaping his remaining years around privacy, devotion, and reflection. A private man in a loud industry, Charles Bronson never embraced Hollywood culture. He avoided parties, gave few interviews, and distrusted fame itself. To him, acting was work, not identity. He valued discipline, punctuality, and understatement, traits rooted in his working-class background. This approach earned respect from crews but sometimes clashed with more flamboyant personalities. Bronson disliked excess, whether emotional or social, and preferred solitude between takes. He believed performances should speak quietly but truthfully without drawing attention to the actor. This philosophy shaped both his screen style and his professional relationships. While many peers cultivated charm and visibility, Bronson cultivated boundaries. His silence was often mistaken for severity, but those close to him described a dry humor and deep loyalty. In an industry driven by image, Bronson stood apart as someone uninterested in being liked, only respected. A clash of styles and temperaments. One of the most discussed professional tensions in Bronson's career involved fellow actor James Coburn. The two worked together on The Magnificent Seven, a production filled with strong personalities. While both men became icons of tough guy cinema, their approaches could not have been more different. Bronson was inward, guarded, and intensely serious about understatement. Coburn was relaxed, philosophical, and outwardly charismatic. To Bronson, this looseness sometimes felt performative rather than authentic. He believed toughness came from lived experience, not style. Though no public feud ever erupted, insiders noted a cool distance between them. Bronson reportedly felt Coburn relied too much on charm, while Coburn found Bronson overly intense. Their differences were not about talent, but philosophy. It was a quiet collision between two visions of masculinity and authenticity on screen: silence, memory, and unspoken distance. Bronson was not confrontational, but he remembered impressions deeply. Stories circulated of moments where humor or casual remarks failed to land, reinforcing distance rather than hostility. Bronson did not argue or retaliate. He simply withdrew. After The Magnificent Seven, the two actors never worked together again, a fact many attributed to professional divergence rather than deliberate avoidance. By the 1970s, Bronson had the influence to choose his projects carefully, favoring environments that aligned with his values. Coburn, meanwhile, thrived in varied roles across genres. Their paths diverged naturally, each finding success without crossing again. Bronson rarely spoke about colleagues directly, preferring implication over accusation. His silence often carried more weight than words. What remained was not open resentment, but a lasting sense of incompatibility rooted in identity rather than incident. Final years and quiet decline. In his later years, Bronson gradually withdrew from acting, appearing mainly in television films before retiring altogether. His final role came in 1999, after which declining health limited public appearances. Following Jill Ireland's death, he married Kim Weeks, who remained with him during his final chapter. Bronson passed away on August 30, 2003, at age 81, due to respiratory failure caused by metastatic lung cancer, compounded by COPD and heart disease. He had lived a life marked by endurance rather than indulgence. True to his nature, his passing was quiet without spectacle. He was laid to rest in West Windsor, Vermont, a place that reflected his love for privacy and simplicity. Far from Hollywood glamour, it was a fitting end for a man who valued substance over recognition. Legacy of strength and authenticity. Charles Bronson's legacy endures not because he chased admiration, but because he embodied authenticity. He represented a kind of masculinity shaped by hardship, discipline, and restraint. His performances spoke softly yet powerfully, leaving space for audiences to project meaning. While professional tensions and philosophical clashes were part of his journey, they never defined him. Instead, Bronson is remembered as a man who rose from poverty through sheer resilience, remained loyal to his values, and never pretended to be someone else. In an industry obsessed with reinvention, he stood still. That stillness became his signature. Today, his films continue to resonate, not for spectacle, but for honesty. Charles Bronson was not loud, flashy, or accommodating. He was real.